A really solid suite of technical players coming out today, so we're going to see some fantastic gameplay.
Righty, here we go. Let's tell the players that they are good to go. We can get started with round one. Alrighty, so what do you think of this hand? This seems like got 2 power. We've got an exploit, suffocate, parasuffocates. Seems decent. Probably want a
Yeah,
little more power, but
that's the one strong thing about exploit is not only are you able to disrupt your opponent's hand and kind of hopefully back kind of really tip the advantage in your favor, but the fact that it has uh I'm drawing a blank now on the word. I want to say plunder, but I know it's not plunder. Um oh my gosh. Being able to create it is plunder. I don't know why okay. Yeah, being able to turn one of the cards in your hand into power when you need it is really beneficial as well. So you don't mind. This hand is a little slow, like you mentioned, but there is the potential with the removal and discard to kind of keep Camomilk from running away with the game. And it's open deck list, I believe, correct?
yes, they all know each
Yes.
other's deck.
Yeah, so Noverb is aware of the fact that he's not gonna die on turn 4 and has some time to set up potentially. So I think this is a solid keep here from Noverb.
All right, and on Camomilk side, they're looking at a hand of Argenport, Silex. Oh, they're going to toss that one back. They're actually going to start by going to 6. That's not a start they like, but they're going to see 4 power, a Know Thy Enemy, and a Martial Ironthorn. So if you're going to go to 6, that's a way to go. Thank you so much, Lord Blizzard, for the follow, and Johnny of Doom. Welcome everyone again from Cassandra Stream, and thanks for hanging out today. Right, just waiting for our players to get started here. I think Camomilk was thinking about that mulligan for a while, but here they go. They got 4 power, Know Thy Enemy, and Martial Ironthorn. So I think, you never want to go to 6, but if you're going to go to 6, having all the power you need, all the influence you need, and a Know Thy Enemy and Martial Ironthorn's a pretty good 6.
Yeah, and the interesting thing here too to note is the fact that these suffocates are looking really good versus Camel because of the fact that they pretty much hit everything minus Martial Ironthorn on Camomilk side of the board. So for all intents and purposes, minus the fact that slow speed, this is premium removal here for Noverb. Plus it costing 1 means he'll be able to sneak in his curve in most places. Far as favor, that's going to let him hold off on the exploit should Noverb choose to.
Ooh, that's a good draw off the top for Camomilk, getting Exploit off the top. Just not only something to do on turn 2, but can disrupt Noverb a little bit, and even plunder away one of these powers if they really wanted to. So good draw there for Camomilk.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting here what Camomilk decides to go on because there's the redundancy of removal. So sometimes that's kind of like an auto not take because of the fact that, and yeah, sure enough, we're seeing here just valuing the hand disruption, getting rid of the exploit on that side of the board.
Yeah, that's pretty much always the safe play. If you don't know how the game's going to go out exactly, just taking their hand disruption. Although Noverb drawing another hand disruption off the top in the form of sabotage. But yeah, especially with Camomilk's hand being a little weak on action, that would be really bad having something taken away. And here we see sabotage is going to go ahead and do that.
All right, so the pretty standard there, card advantage. So we're seeing, let's see, Noverb choosing to sabotage early, and then or at least they're gonna hit their 3rd power. They have a merchant, so they can at least go to the market should they choose to. Drawing a Var or a Caria there isn't exactly what they wanted to see this early.
And Camomilk going to draw a Pride Leader last turn, so deploying out those 4 power is going to actually have a threat to deploy on turn 4. So lucky for them, they were able to not have to wait until turn 5 to deploy their first threat. I did notice here, Noverb, if you look, is actually short on power here. They actually are stuck on 3. They can't deploy a 4th power this turn, and they don't have any power in hand. And when you're short on power and influence, drawing a Caria off the top, a 6 cost, 6 shadow influence unit, is not really what you want to do when you're trying to hit your 4th power drop.
Yep. Of no taking consideration into Akaria is the fact that Noverb's power base is really solid. Every single piece of power does create shadow to make sure he can get that critical 6 influence, which some of the Xena decks running around, they are running. It's a little tougher to get to than you would anticipate sometimes. Noverb going for a 5-drop, just trying to even out his curve, going for Xenon Temple. And this is gonna be interesting back and forth here because Camomilk does know all the removal Noverb has in hand. So running out units into it is gonna be interesting to see how they plan on combating this.
Yeah, it's interesting too if you notice they just drew that equalize, so Camomilk did not have that equalize before. That's gonna sacrifice that merchant and make Noverb discard too. Interesting that Camomilk chose not to deploy out the Pride Leader on either of those past two turns, just as a unit or even to block and trade with that merchant, saving that potentially for a relic or just to ambush something, but choosing not to do that and instead passing with no plays on those last two turns. But here works out a little bit in their benefit because they're able to equalize and not lose a unit.
Mm. Yep, and we didn't mention it earlier, but Dichiro's Ruin is a card that a lot of Xenon decks are running and Shadow, and we do not see it in Noverb's list. So
All right, well, here
something
comes
that
Aramont there. First kind of threat, hitting that fourth power for Noverb, deploying that first big threat here. And an Enter the Monastery for Camomilk is going to get that up to 6. And Camomilk has Speaking Circle in hand, although Akaria is a decent answer to Speaking Circle. If there is such a thing as a decent answer for Speaking Circle, Akaria is a way to
so
do it.
so this is gonna be interesting. Let's see if Camomilk deploys that Pride Leader to break the Airmont as it's a curse
Yeah.
instead of allowing it to come back as a unit.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good play because deploying out your Speaking Circle here when they have an Aramot, potentially other threats too, is just leaving it able to be killed very easily.
Yep. And we're seeing some of the value there. Camomilk playing the Marshal, then deploying the the Silex to get 2 treasure troves out of that. And yeah, no, Camomilk isn't aware of the Akaria though. They did not see that when they exploited, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So, but I agree with you. I think once again, this deck wants to go into the long game, draw as much power as possible to capitalize on things. So I could respect the patience here from Camomilk.
Here comes an attack and then a Xenon Temple. So nice plays here by Noverb. Darkest Tempest, thank you so much for the follow. Gonna go with the Xenon Augury first, of course, and they're gonna draw a Vara Vengeance Seeker. So Noverb being the first one to put some pressure on here, gonna put Camomilk back on the back foot. So here's an interesting point too. You can exploit followed by Speaking Circle, which will kill the Xenon Temple. The risk there is that it does leave open the Aramot attack. Instead, they're going to go Marshal Ironthorn into Enter the Monastery.
And that's working out pretty well for them. They're sitting at a comfortable 12 power, allowing them to play just about anything they want. And sure enough, we're seeing the Pride Leader come down now at slow speed, essentially to take out the Airmont as a curse, getting some additional removal and value off of that Pride Leader, and then displaying obvious pressure towards the Xenon Temple. Noverb is able to do 2 things this turn, if they choose to. They can suffocate first, then drop Vara. That would force Camomilk to either have an answer to Vara or sacrifice the Ironthorn. It looks like
Suffocate first to take out that Pride Leader. Or a trigger here. And Milk's going to let that be a 5/5.
of note as well, Noverb's still missing both that 6 power and 6 shadow influence. So, ooh, now Camomilk's going to fire off this exploit, which looks like we're going to see what you were talking about, which is exploit clearing the way for the Speaking Circle.
Go. And that's going to exploit getting rid of that Akaria, and that kills the Xenon Temple. So that's actually a huge turn here for Camomilk.
Find out what Camomilk high rolls.
You're going to get a Touch of Resilience, a Polymorph. That's a nice answer to the Vara, and an Argos Technique. So being able to get value, basically killing a unit, taking a key card from hand, killing your site, and getting value for your own. I mean, that's a 4-for-1 for Camomilk on that turn. It's brutal for Noverb.
Yep, and sadly, Noverb drawing power here is really not what they want to see with an active Speaking Circle. So this is going to be interesting. Both players are essentially top decking, but the stronger board presence is definitely going to Camomilk at the moment. Gonna have to draw something really good to come back in this before the agenda is completed.
Absolutely. That Queen of Glass is going to be really hard to deal with. Of course, Vara's favor hitting the site to take it from 3 to 2 is not really the best use for that, but you do what you got to do in this case.
Yeah, I wonder if there was consideration to hold that to for Camomilk to maybe essentially take one extra damage, laying the temple well, that's gonna seal it.
Yeah, that's brutal. Know thy enemy to take care of the only unit Noverb had, as well as get 3 units, a Diana and 2 merchants. That's pretty much gonna seal it for Camomilk. Even at 29 health, there's not really much Noverb can draw here to stop this.
Yep, you are not wrong. And
Start
of
off the
note,
top.
well, I mean, remember as well, Camomilk has the ability, the ultimate Diana as well, so she's gonna be taking huge chunks out of his life total very quickly.
Asbu Warped is a start, but as you mentioned, oh wow, know thy enemy here too. As you mentioned, they can ultimate Diana, which will give it plus 17, plus 17. It's actually kind of close to lethal here, because Diana can attack for 19 on her own, push through 4 unblocked damage at the minimum. So 23 damage at the minimum here for Camomilk if they want to go for it.
I wonder if there would have also been consideration to hold on to that Vara's favor, that if you think that the Queen of Glass was coming out regardless, you can use that to at least break the regen shield, but I don't think there's anything actually in Noverb's list that cares about that. I mean, obviously she's unblockable, so they can't lose in combat. So it'd pretty much just be drawing an Akaria or one of her removal spells, or his removal spells, correction.
Just gonna fire off an exploit here. Not gonna see anything in Noverb's hand, but choosing not to plunder away the power either. But it's not gonna matter at this point. Camomilk's gonna take game 1 here over Noverb. See if Noverb can do any last ditch effort. But once that Queen of Glass comes out as well, it's not lethal already. There you go. Okay, Camomilk is going to take game 1 over Noverb. Remember, these are best out of 3. So game 1 of match 1 goes to Team Evoke Lethal. When I have a moment, I will check the other results around the room, because remember, we have 2 other matches going on as well. We have Notorious GHP playing and the Boxer playing, both for Team Rankstar, and we have Apple Chips and John K. Kez also playing. Let's head back down and get ready for game 2.
Yeah, I really
on the play.
Noverb seems to be considered keeping this hand. He has 3 power, has hand disruption, and 2 merchants, so seems solid, especially against a control deck.
Throw that back. I'm going to see 3 power, a banish, send an agent, a Vara, and a suffocate. I feel like that's something to keep there.
Yeah, I can't imagine there being a 6 that looks better than that. So yeah, Noverb doing a good job game 1 to put some pressure on the board, but sadly, you know, Camomilk showing some patience, really ramping out, allowing them to start doing 2 and 3 things per turn, just allowed them to come back into this game and stabilize and then overwhelm Noverb.
Yep. And it looks like Camomilk's hand is 2 additional power, Hidden Road, Smuggler, an Equalize, and Enter the Monastery, a Know Thy Enemy, and a Display of Vision. So pretty decent hand there. Pretty good setup for Camomilk. No haymakers yet, but don't need them at this point in the game.
See here. All right. Noverb getting a steady stream of cards that are played. Of course, they haven't drawn. All right. Let's see what they're going to do. And they could also exploit or plunder here. They want to keep hitting their power. They did draw 1 power, so at least going to get it to 4 and play everything in their hand. Do think we're going to end up seeing a lot of Camomilk playing around Akaria as it being the cleanest answer to the opposing speaking circles. So I would not be surprised if Camomilk continues to play around that in the rest of this matchup. See Noverb snag the Know Thy Enemy, just being a good form of removal and card advantage in this matchup.
Yep.
Doesn't hit too many things in Noverb's deck, but as we saw, it still just pretty much is a card advantage engine.
You'll see this
In
play
fact,
quite a bit. Display of Vision can go get a power of your choice from your deck. A lot of times you'll play this to help develop. You draw a power, but you draw a Silex as well, so it does that, and then it enables you to actually just draw a card off of it. So it's sort of a free ramp in a way.
yeah, and the fact that it's fast speed as well, if it gets to the point where the Silex isn't feasible for whatever reason, or they already played all 4 of them, they are able to still go find a crest to scout before their turn if need be. It's good. Also, the -1 mode also is a decent way of clearing out Valkyries, should that be a thing. Never mind, the Valkyries on that side. Disregard. I'm thinking the mirror already.
Other results around the room, it looks like Notorious GHP of Team Rankstar and John K. Kez of Invoke Lethal are tied at 1 game apiece going into game 3.
You buying or not?
Noverb deciding to go to the market here. Let's find out what they're going to exchange. Probably going to see the temple, maybe keeping power and grabbing the temple. Yep, sure enough. Cashing in the Vara's favor and grabbing Xenon Temple to play next turn. Interesting going for the aggressive temple grab, considering how the last temple played out. I mean, he did get a card to kind of replace the temple at least, but we saw a lot of value come off of Camomilk that turn that he essentially turned the corner and got rid of the site, got rid of the unit, and added to the board.
Lost scroll here for Camomilk, just going to keep on ramping, keep hitting those power every turn. Send an agent off the top for Noverb. Here comes that Xenon Temple. No speaking circle on the other side this time for Camomilk. Gonna start with the killer mode. Pretty nice here. Yeah, it was able to cleanly take out that smuggler.
Yeah. Makes it useful. You know you're going to be able to augur next turn if need be. This one, Camomilk is tapped out, so you don't have to worry about any kind of fast spell in response or an ambush. So it seemed like the safest play there. Plus, having the tempo out means that he gets control of the smuggler. But let me look at the list to make sure. Yeah, there's really no recursion on Camomilk's side, so anything that goes to the void is going to stay there in this game.
Here comes an exploit now for Camomilk, looking at Noverb's hand. They take that Vara to prevent further bleeding, but they are going to have to answer this site, which they don't really have a clean answer to. Their hand is 2 Equalize and an Azendel, so not a bad hand, but it's not really going to answer the site at the moment. Equalize basically just a 1-for-1 removal to take care of that merchant, and another banish off the top for Noverb, so this time they're going to go Augury. Try to find some gas, and there's something. Tazbu, which they have the influence and power to be able to play this turn. So there's a threat. Camomilk has the answer. They have Equalize and Send an Agent. They want to use that. So they're going to start with Azendel. And they can send an agent. That's nice, actually.
Yeah, very solid turn. Just having so much power, being able to do 2 things a turn first really lets Camomilk capitalize on everything they're drawing and just get ahead.
That Scare's not going to do anything, of course, but 1 turn away from ultimating this Xenon Temple. Camomilk's going to try to stop that if they can. Noverb with a hand full of removal. They don't have the power to cast 3 of these spells, but they can cast 2 of them and then keep their Tazboot back. But as we know, send an agent in hand for Camomilk. So,
and sadly, none of that removal hits Azendel.
That's true. You're right. Double banish, double send an agent, being a high-cost multi-faction unit, going to be relying on the Tazbu to block.
Yeah.
Here. I like this, though. They're going to play out the Aramot. Now they have 2 deadly units. Now Camomilk has to kill 2 deadly units to be able to do that. And another send an agent off the top. Wow, nice draw for Camomilk there.
Yep, and having 10 power means they're easily able to draw first, see if anything else happens, get some more information before they make their decision. But yeah, that was a really good top deck, clearing out the other, like you said, deadly units, so they are freely able to take out the temple before the agenda is finished.
Yeah, huge draw there. The only other card in hand was another Equalize, which wouldn't have done the trick here. So it was exactly what Camomilk needed. This is going to be able to cleanly take out that Xenon Temple. And Noverb, a hand of removal, but as you said, it doesn't hit. Oh, and actually, Noverb just going to go, or Camomilk just going to go straight to the face. Look at that.
Fair. I mean, they're
no
good.
respect for World Joiner whatsoever.
Interesting. I wonder how they're planning on hand, because they don't have an answer for it in hand, do they?
They do not. They just have Equalize and 2 copies of Vara's Favor. So here comes that World Joiner.
I mean, I guess in a race scenario, well, could be close. And then if World Joiner does get to attack, it's gonna automatically get rid of the
Yeah,
wisp.
That's tough because you could attack and take out the two units, but then you just basically leave a free attack with Azendel. Not now, but if it gets to it. Speaking Circle off the top for Camomilk. Let's see, Rebuke. That's a pretty good one. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a pretty good one.
Okay. Did they have Speaking Circle in hand?
No, they drew. Nope, they drew that off the top this turn.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I guess Camomilk just trusted their deck, and their deck delivered.
And Grenadin Cargo there.
Yeah, so two different answers to World Joiner should they decide to take it. I'm assuming they're just gonna draw the cards here. Yeah, that's exactly what we're gonna see. Rebuke's gonna not only stun the World Joiner, but also silence it, so it doesn't have to worry about any forms of it. And we're gonna see a 3-prong attack from Camomilk and drawing 3 more cards and still having access to 5 power. But Noverb's gonna have nothing to do with that.
Absolutely, and Camomilk's gonna take that one 2-0 over No.